person you never expected to save you, but did? I've replayed this memory in my head thousands of times, and every time, it still feels unreal, like a scene from a movie that I was accidentally cast in. But it wasn't a movie, it was my life, and the person who saved me was a complete stranger whose name I never even learned. It was about 10 years ago when I was 21. On the outside, I looked fine. I had friends, I was in college, I worked a part-time job, and I laughed when I was supposed to laugh. But underneath, I was collapsing. My father had passed away suddenly the year before, and the grief swallowed me whole. My mother and I barely spoke anymore. She was drowning in her own pain, and I didn't want to add to it. Every relationship I had felt like it was built on fragile glass, ready to shatter if I leaned on it too hard. I felt invisible, useless, heavy. One night, after yet another fight with my mom about nothing and everything, I walked out of the house without my phone or wallet. I just walked, not really thinking where I was going. My feet led me to this old bridge on the edge of town. I'd biked across it 100 times as a kid, but that night it wasn't just a bridge. It felt like a doorway. I leaned over the railing, staring at the black water below. It wasn't high enough to be instant. I knew that, but at that point, I didn't care. Pain makes you reckless like that. The silence of the night pressed against me, heavier than the world. I gripped the railing and thought, maybe this is the only way to make it stop. That's when I heard a voice. Hey, don't do that. I froze. A man, maybe in his 30s, stood a few feet away. He wasn't dressed like a cop, not a security guard, not anyone official, just a regular guy holding a grocery bag in one hand. He looked tired, like he'd just come off a long shift. He wasn't supposed to be there. No one ever walked this bridge at night. I didn't respond. I didn't want to. Part of me was angry he interrupted. He set the bag down slowly, like he didn't want to scare me. Then he said something I'll never forget. You don't have to explain anything to me. Just stay here a minute. Let me stand with you. I don't know why those words hit me. Maybe because he wasn't demanding I get down. He wasn't lecturing me. He wasn't threatening to call anyone. He was just there, offering his presence like it was enough. I mumbled something like, you don't know what I'm going through. And he nodded. You're right. I don't. But I know what it feels like to think the pain won't end. I've been there. That made me turn and look at him. His face was calm, but his eyes looked so tired. Not in a pitying way, in a real way, like he was telling the truth. He didn't come closer. He didn't rush me. He just started talking about nothing and everything, about the dumbest movie he had just watched, about how his cat had knocked over a glass of water that morning, about how he hated grocery shopping late at night. It sounded ridiculous at first, but slowly, the heaviness in my chest shifted. I realized what he was doing. He was keeping me tethered to the world by the smallest, stupidest threads. Finally, after what felt like hours but was probably 20 minutes, I stepped back from the railing. My knees buckled and I just sat on the ground shaking. He sat down too, right next to me, close enough to feel his presence but not touching. He pushed the grocery bag toward me and pulled out a candy bar. Sugar helps, he said softly, like he'd done this before. I ate it, half crying, half laughing at how surreal it was. Me, sitting on the side of a bridge at midnight, eating chocolate with a stranger. When I calmed down, he asked me gently if I wanted him to call someone. A friend, family, anyone. I said no. He didn't push. Instead, he said, then I'll walk you home. We walked in silence most of the way. When we reached my street, he stopped and gave me this look. Not judgmental, not pitying, just human. Listen, he said, whatever storm you're in right now, it's not forever. Trust me. I didn't believe it either, but it's true. And if tonight ever gets heavy again, remember this. Remember that a stranger cared enough to stop. That means people will care tomorrow too, even if you don't see them yet. And then he left, just like that. No name, no phone number, no, let's keep in touch. He just disappeared into the night with his groceries, like some kind of accidental guardian angel. For weeks after, I kept expecting to run into him again, but I never did. Sometimes I wonder if he even remembers me. Maybe I was just a blur in his life, a random night he didn't think twice about. But for me, it was the night everything changed. Because that night, I realized something I'd forgotten. Sometimes it only takes one person, even a stranger, to pull you back from the edge, to remind you that you're still here, that maybe, just maybe, you're worth saving. And the strangest part, he didn't save me with speeches or promises or therapy tricks. He saved me with silence, with presence, with the smallest, simplest act, standing beside me on a bridge when no one else was there. 10 years later, I'm still here. I've had joy, heartbreak, victories, failures, all of it. And every time life gets heavy again, I remember him. The man with tired eyes and a grocery bag who probably thought he was doing something small when really he saved a life. Mine.